sports. We welcome in the czar, former NBA head coach Mike Fratello. Coach, thanks for being with us.
Coach.
Now the fun begins.
Yeah.
Right? You've had 82
season.
games of semi-fun, and now we have the next season to talk about. Nick's excited. CC's excited. Headline, the Cavs made the playoffs. Smaller headline, smaller font, of course, as the 4 seed. Cavs lost to the Knicks last night. LeBron played just 11 minutes, but still enough to notch 10 points and still enough to say he's played all 82 games this year. So they play the Pacers in the first round and then likely match up with the top-seeded Toronto Raptors in the second. All right, Coach, let's take a step back and break it down. How much does it matter that the Cavs are in that 4 seed?
Well, what matters is, and going back to what you just mentioned last night, if they kept looking up at the scoreboard, they saw that Philly jumped out to that 30, 35-point lead right away in the first quarter. They were not leaving any doubt that they wanted that third spot. Cleveland looks at it. They figure Philly's not losing this one. Interesting, I was following it, and once he got to 11 minutes and the 10th point went up, it was like, sayonara, he's gone. What it means to him now is that, one, they open up with a team who has beaten them 3 out of 4 times this season in Miami. In Indiana, excuse me.
Yeah.
And they just seem to have the Cavs number. They just played well each time they played him. They made shots. Oladipo was tough for them to defend. But earlier in the year, everybody was tough for Cleveland to defend. Now, whether they can get the defense back together, that remains to be seen. Past that, and we all know that LeBron has never lost in the first round of the playoffs. I think it's 12-0 in first-round games. Then they meet up with Toronto in round number 2. And Toronto having the best record in the Eastern Conference, the problem there is Cleveland has knocked them out the last 2 years. So Toronto's carrying the chip on their shoulder of, we can't beat these guys to move on to the finals. So we'll see.
And Cleveland's beat them in really emotionally devastating fashion. If you remember, it was against Toronto in Game 1 of the series that Cleveland was throwing alley-oops off the backboard. First quarter, Game 1. There was no concern. They've never had concern with Toronto. When the one year that Toronto won a couple games, when they didn't get swept 2 years ago, LeBron was asked after Game 4, going into Game 5, how much adversity is this? 2-2 to make it to the NBA Finals. And LeBron said, one of the more low-key, arrogant things he's ever said, I've faced a lot of adversity in my career. Yeah. This ain't it. Like, they've never shown any type of concern towards Toronto. Indiana, though, is interesting. Because where have the Cavs been terrible from Game 1 to Game 82? Backcourt production. Where's Indiana at its best? Victor Oladipo, the most improved player in the league this year, a fringe all-NBA guy. Additionally, we know the Cavs have said they are going to go with a LeBron, Kevin Love, Jeff Green front line. Man, people are going to get to know Miles Turner in these NBA playoffs. Miles Turner's a good player, and he's a legitimate low-post threat, even if that's not how they run their offense. If you've got Jeff Green on him, they will all of a sudden say, you know what, we can take advantage of that matchup. I don't think Cleveland will have a ton of trouble with Indiana, but I don't think it's the best matchup for them. And you mentioned it. They did beat them 3 out of 4 times.
I think it's a great matchup for Cleveland from this standpoint. When will they get their lineup back together? Like, they still have not played their game with all the players with all the trades and everything, one game. Coach, I know you would like this, traveling from Cleveland to Indianapolis. Like, teams not going to get travel. If they can make short work of them, then they get some rest before they would face Toronto. Now, I would love to face Toronto in the second round. I would love to be able to knock them out. Like, if I have that type of confidence, no need to wait for the finals. I'd be getting ready for Philadelphia. So I think there are some benefits with them being the number 4 seed. But, Nick, you're a historian. LeBron hadn't done anything from less than 1 or 2 seed. So that's something to watch. There's a reason why Cleveland is the number 4 seed, and that's because they were inconsistent, and they played a lot of bad basketball and some bad defense. So does that defense creep into the postseason?
Cleveland had seasons within the big season this year. The beginning of the season after the trade took place, then they still are waiting for their main piece, which was Isaiah Thomas, which never appeared for 37 games. Then
never appeared when he started playing either.
Well, then when he did play, it was more of a disaster than it was at the time that he came back. And after 6 go out and 4 new ones come in, now they're trying to put this whole thing back together. And then the injuries. Tristan Thompson goes back out. Kevin Love breaks his hands. George Hill sprains his ankle. One after another kept dropping. LeBron James is looking around. He's the one guy that just remained consistent. throughout the whole thing. He was a triple-double every night and carried this team really to the 4th position with home court. They very easily could have slid back to 5, 6, or 7 as they were playing at that time.
Given everything you just said and the way you spelled out the entire season, is it possible that even without a starting roster, a final roster that you're going to see in the playoffs, they may be playing their best basketball right now heading into the postseason?
I don't know if Tyronn Lue knows who his rotation is going to be as of today. This first round could be their practices because the guys that have been out, he's been starting different lineups the last 5 or 6 games of the regular season. So now, who do I come in with first off the bench? He made the commitment of Kevin Love at the 5 spot rather than Thompson or Larry Nance. Is one of those 2 guys out of the rotation now?
Listen, this is something, and you and I was talking about this, saw this up close and personal, game 81. Since they've made the front line be LeBron, Green, Love, in the couple games since then, Ty Lue has done something that is baffling to me, which is played Nance and Thompson simultaneously. You can't do that.
Which was a very short-lived experiment.
But he did it in consecutive games. It was short-lived in both games. It's like, oh, well, I think it's because he doesn't want Thompson to be out of the rotation. He's one of only 4 guys on the team that's won the championship with him, that's been there for the full run. But he would be the odd man out. Like Tristan Thompson would be the guy that if he's not your starting center or your backup center, your third-string center does not get on the court in the NBA playoffs.
And Nick, who loves Larry Nance? LeBron James.
Absolutely.
He loves Nance because Nance is high energy. When he throws it, Nance finds it and finishes the ball. So now you've got the problem, like you said, the respect of Tyronn Lue. Look at the respect he gave Wade when he came in beginning of the year. He took J.R. Smith, took him out of the starting lineup to put Wade in out of respect for everything Dwayne has done. That wound up taking J.R.'s head, and he puts his head down because not starting anymore. So he has great respect for the players. Thompson's part of the 3 times to the finals. How do you work it in?
Yeah, well, Larry Nance Jr. is Tristan Thompson from 3 seasons ago.
With a better offensive game.
Yeah, and LeBron can see that. Like, they're a better team with Nance playing a role coming off the bench.
Jen, I will add this, because you're right, and CC made the point, and it's amazing. 82 games of the regular season. 0 games with the full complement of players they're going to have for the playoffs. There's not been a single game that was played where the roster, as it is now, was fully healthy. The first game, they hope, will be game 1 of the playoffs. The reason that is less of a concern in the playoffs than the regular season, as odd as it sounds, is LeBron, instead of playing 37.5 minutes a game, is about to play 42 or 43 minutes a game. And when you only have to figure out 5 or 6 minutes a game of non-LeBron rotations, it's so much easier. Because guess when Jeff Green plays his best basketball? When LeBron's out there with him. Guess when Kyle Korver plays his best basketball?
I play my best basketball when LeBron's out there.
And so you're not going to have those big stretches of time without LeBron James the way you do at the beginning of the second quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter in the regular season.
Coach, stick around. Got more to talk about. Coming up, should the Warriors be on upset alert against the Spurs? That's next on First Things First.